美国前总统奥巴马曾经誓言要遵从巴黎气候协议，在2020年将碳排从2005年的总量减少17%。川普本以为这是天方夜谭，但妙的是，莫名其妙，因为疫情的关系，今年若不加计去年美国野火带出的碳排放量，美国真的达标了。因为疫情打击到了美国经济。美国能源和工业的碳排量在2020年大减超过10%，创下30年最低水准。根据经济研究机构荣鼎咨询 Rodian Group 指出，绝大一部分是因为运输量大减、汽油用量减少所导致。照正常来说，只要经济一恢复正轨，这一部分还是会补上来。除非这中间石化能源会继续朝再生能源大量移动。其实从2005年，美国碳排就已经因为导入风力、太阳能和较少碳排的天然气而不断下降。而且在2020年，业者为了在联邦优惠税率截止之前，以最快速度布建再生能源。像是美国最早采风力发电的爱荷华州，就在去年创纪录的扩大风力发电厂的面积。整体，美国在2020以再生能源创造的电力，已经等同于用煤炭发电的规模了。情况可是史上仅见。接下来，拜登政权已经释出要达标巴黎协定所定下的2050年零排放的目标。怎么做到呢？一个很重要的显示时间点是落在2030年，届时不止风力得大举布建，电网扩增，电动车占新车销售比也必须从现今的2%提升到50%，而且目前全美200处火力发电厂必须要关闭一半。由此看来，如果拜登有办法连任，2030年目标能不能达阵，他任内的气候小组绝对至关重要。拜登从竞选开始，一路以来已经开出巨型支票。今天就趁这一次机会，帮大家汇整一下，观众朋友将来能更了解美国再生能源已经掀起了惊涛骇浪。
Remember what he said? He said he doesn't like LED because, quote, the light's no good. I always look orange.
把川普对节能灯泡的看法拿来大肆嘲笑一番。美国总统当选人拜登对于能源问题的态度可是和川普大相径庭。
The oil industry pollutes significantly because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time. And I'd stop giving to the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies.
Basically what he's saying is he is going to destroy the oil industry.Will you remember that Texas? Will you remember that Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
这样唇枪舌战的场面已经很难有机会重现。美国总统大选结果底定，拜登获得民意的支持，有机会将他的绿能政策付诸实践。
The battle to save our planet by getting climate under control.
在胜选演说上，不忘强调要控制气候变迁。拜登多次承诺，他一上任就要重返巴黎气候协定。
Folks.We're in a crisis. Just like we need to be a unified nation in response to COVID-19, we need a unified national response to climate change.
将气候变迁问题看作和新冠疫情同等重要，拜登宣布要在白宫成立国内气候变迁政策办公室，公布了6位气候团队成员。
Clean energy remains among the most promising jobs and economic growth sector in the world.Over the next 2 decades, countries and companies are going to invest trillions, not just billions, trillions, in electric cars and batteries and wind turbines and solar panels and energy-efficient appliances and energy-efficient buildings.
拜登团队深知，想推动环保绿能，不能只靠道德劝说，更要提供经济诱因，主打减碳环保相关产业经济潜力无穷。
Today,I'm announcing my plan for a clean energy revolution so that by 2050, the United States will be 100% clean energy economy with net zero emissions. And by the end of my first term, we will have an enforcement mechanism in place to make sure we stay on track to get there.
拜登在争取党内提名之际，就对能源问题勾勒出一份目标远大的蓝图，喊出要让美国在2050年成为100%采用再生能源的经济体，也就是履行巴黎气候协定目标。拜登在大选前就提出一份2兆美元的干净能源计划，他在能源议题上的竞选承诺成了产业发展的风向球。
The United States owns and maintains an enormous fleet of vehicles. And we're going to convert these government fleets to electric vehicles, made and sourced right here in the United States of America, expanding capacity so that the United States, not China, leads the world in clean vehicle production, not only by building 500,000 charging stations, but by offering rebates and incentives to swap older fuel-efficient vehicles for new, clean, made-in-America vehicles.
要实现零排碳目标，首先拿柴油车开刀。拜登打算大量设置充电站，还要联邦政府采购电动车，创造市场需求。民众买电动车可能享有税收抵免。在拜登主政下，电动车产业前景备受看好。
I mean, we think the Biden plan is very pragmatic by Democratic Party standards. Yes, there's a $2 trillion climate plan. It's going to be heavily weighted towards renewables. They will be the clear winner if this plan is enacted. But it's interesting what is not in this plan. There's no ban on fracking. There's no ban on U.S. oil and gas exports. There's potentially a ban on new permits for drilling on federal land, but that's very different than a wholesale fracking ban.
拜登的政见中并不包括禁止业者以水裂法开采页岩油气，称不上完全封杀石化产业。拜登还强调，重视绿能和气候问题，可以替美国创造更多就业机会。
No, we're going to make record-breaking investments in research and development, zero-carbon technologies, so that America is the engine of the world's clean energy economy. Exporting cutting-edge equipment stamped Made in the USA. This initiative will create more than 10 million new good-paying jobs all across the clean economy in the United States of America. It's an enormous opportunity.
The path to building back better starts with building and manufacturing and deploying those products here, stamping them made in America and exporting them around the world.
在拜登的减碳蓝图中，承诺要在2035年让美国发电厂达成无碳发电，势必要将火力发电改用风力、太阳能等再生能源取代。
I was in charge, able to bring down the cost of renewable energy to cheaper than or as cheap as coal and gas and oil. Nobody's going to build another coal-fired plant in America. No one's going to build another oil-fired plant in America. They're going to move to renewable energy.
Renewables is a clear winner. I mean, absolutely. I mean, wind, solar. I mean, those are what you want to look for in the Biden plan.
The last 4 years, we had a president and a Senate that were very unfavorable to renewables, yet solar thrived. And now we have a very favorable administration in the Senate that will hear the policies of that administration, and so will thrive even more.
再生能源产业磨刀霍霍，准备大展身手，金融市场更已经嗅到这股发展趋势。
You may never have heard of Ørsted, Enel, NextEra, or First Solar. But they've emerged as hot companies this year. Just before Biden was elected, NextEra Energy, the US's largest renewable energy company, briefly topped the market valuation of ExxonMobil, a significant moment for renewables producers.
We have the best carbon emission numbers that we've had in 35 years under this administration.
美国总统川普不太关心气候变迁，对再生能源也兴趣缺缺。不过，美国在2020年的排碳量居然下降了10.3%，创下2战以来最大降幅。奥巴马政府曾经承诺要让美国2020年碳排放比2005年下降17%，在疫情影响下意外达标。
I will rejoin the Paris Accord.
根据巴黎气候协定，美国下一阶段的减碳 碳目标要在2025年将排碳量比2005年下降26%到28%。在疫情趋缓后，美国碳排放很可能回升。如何达成这张巨大的减碳支票，可就得看拜登的本事了。
美国总统川普不认败选，本来号召川粉为自己发声，没想到却失控变成暴动，闯入国会，打断了选举人团清点票数的流程，还造成5人丧命。尽管最后拜登还是获得国会认证成为新任总统，但民主党挟带民意要将川普提前拉下台，不但企图援引美国宪法第25条修正案，以总统丧失能力、无法履行总统职务为由罢免川普，更发动弹劾行动，想要打算粉碎川普再回国选总统的大梦。川普这次任期命运多舛，从一上任就面临被弹劾的威胁，反对势力不断发动，一次不成再来一次。回顾美国历史，作为继任总统的詹森，身为民主党人，却因为跟共和党国会闹不和，成为首度被弹劾的总统。但结果跟后来因为桃色丑闻而被弹劾的克林顿总统一样，最终到参院都因为没有通过3-2决，没有被定罪。之前因为爆出水门案的尼克森总统，因为先行辞职，避开了可能被弹劾的可能，因此美国史上并没有出现真正被弹劾的总统。但这一次，参院可能在川普卸任后继续审议此案。川普躲不躲得过民主党的追杀令？参院共和党人会不会大跑票呢？这一切都是变数。
And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
美国总统川普号召川粉在华府的集会，却变成大暴动。美国国会大厦被闯入，恶意破坏，甚至有5人丧命。这美国史上最黑暗的一天，让川普成为众矢之的，逼他提前下台的声浪如排山倒海般涌现。
Inciting a riot, we would get thrown in jail. So I think that somebody like, just because you're the president doesn't mean you are exempt from the law. And I think that he should be held accountable.
I joined the Senate Democratic leader in calling on the vice president to remove this president by immediately invoking the 25th Amendment.
民主党抓准机会，火速行动，以丧失能力、无法履行职务，要求罢免川普。这一招只需要副总统潘斯与内阁多数成员认同发起，告知国会后立即生效，就是要川普马上下台。
And I am going to be very careful as I deliver it because it is so incredible. The people around the president, some of the highest members of our government, are discussing the possibility of invoking the 25th Amendment.
民主党大动作鼓吹罢免川普，不是天外飞来一笔。川普亲近的内阁在川普视若无睹报名作恶时，就在考虑动用美国宪法第25修正案，让潘斯代理总统职务。传包括美国国务卿庞培欧以及美国财政部长梅努钦等，都被怂恿加入倒戈行列。
The 25th Amendment could be invoked today. You would just need to assemble in some form the relevant heads of the executive departments. Is nearing the end of his term, basically the clock would run out. So essentially what it would mean if the 25th Amendment is invoked, regardless of what Congress does at the end, that Vice President Pence would take over the rest of President Trump's term.
不过潘斯已经表明反对，不会解除川普的总统职权，而且最后还需要参众两院都以2/3投票支持，才能启动第25修正案。门槛之所以这么高，实在是因为情况相当罕见。
The 25th Amendment to the Constitution was introduced following the chaos of President Kennedy's assassination in 1963. His successor, President Johnson, wanted to ensure a clear line of succession if the president was ever again incapacitated.
詹森总统当时临危受命，又因为心脏问题急需找副手，才催生出第25修正案，与川普现在的情况大不相同。尽管这招已经被潘斯挡下，但民主党早有准备。
If the vice president and cabinet do not act, the Congress may be prepared to move forward with impeachment.
由民主党把持的众议院同时推动对川普的弹劾案，如果顺利，还可以禁止川普继续再担任公职。而且，就算川普卸任，弹劾案还是具有效力，就是要避免川普回国，要川普彻底死心再选总统。
In March 1868, President Andrew Johnson became the first president to be impeached. Johnson and President Bill Clinton were both impeached, but neither one was removed from office.
Donald John Trump, President of the United States, is not guilty as charged in the first article of impeachment.
川普是美国史上第3位遭弹劾的总统，但任内第2度遭弹劾可是史上头一遭。与过往前例最大的不同，这次川普被定罪的几率提高，因为已经有共和党人倒戈。
The third most powerful House Republican leader, Liz Cheney, saying she'll vote to impeach the president.
Here's the truth: the president caused this. The president is unfit, and the president is unwell.
就连一向力挺川普到底，参议院多数党领袖麦康诺也向幕僚表示，川普犯下了可遭弹劾的罪名，还很高兴民主党人启动程序，更容易将川普赶出共和党。
Well, I think the best way for our country, Chuck, is for the president to resign and go away as soon as possible. I acknowledge that may not be likely, but I think that would be best.
For impeachment, it's a slower process, and while House Democrats have the power to start the process, it would need the support of Republicans. 18 Republican senators would have to vote to impeach Trump.
弹劾案最终要送到参议院，且取得2/3票数支持，才能将川普定罪免职。传重新掌握参议院的民主党可能将弹劾案表决往后延，拖到新任议员走马上任，以便在表决时更有把握。
The impeachment process is now moving so swiftly that last night, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi named the 9 House managers who will argue the case in the Senate trial. In the last impeachment, it took her nearly a month to name the managers.
拜登就职倒数计时，民主党将能完全执政，却不留任何余地逼川普提前下台，可能让民主党落人口实。
Very serious issues here. Questions about not just the basis of the impeachment, but also this idea of a snap impeachment. The lack of serious debate or a hearing on that is disappointing.
Before we begin, I'd like to say that free speech is under assault like never before. The 25th Amendment is of zero risk to me. The impeachment hoax is a continuation of the greatest and most vicious witch hunt in the history of our country.
川普在国会暴动后首次公开演说，不但不担心遭罢免，还反击弹劾是政治猎物。毕竟川普从刚上任就面对弹劾危机，就算遭党内同志逼宫，历经大风大浪的川普也不可能轻易屈服。